Hello, everyone. This is Gary Wilson, and welcome to tonight's live webinar for the Investor Agent Training Program. And we actually have a few people on from some of the other training programs, like how to flip properties and how to buy rentals. And again, once you're in the system, you're in. You're one of the family, and you get to share and participate in everything we do. So congratulations. A lot of you didn't expect that. That's kind of a free bonus, and we're glad to do it. We have Beverly Capchia on tonight. She's going to go over our contact management system. Is called Top Producer. Again, this will help you whether you have, if you're even just using the Keller Williams e-edge system, that's a great system too. They're very similar. In fact, all of the marketing campaigns that Keller Williams provides on e-edge, they also put on Top Producer because Top Producer is a preferred vendor for Keller Williams. I just happen to use Top Producer because I used it for years, even before I was Keller Williams, all right? So you're going to see a lot of similarities, and everything we're going to learn tonight you're going to be able to use in your own business. So Bev, go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody this evening. It is a pleasure to be here with you tonight. So Gary, thank you so much for inviting me to join you all. I am going to go over Top Producer with you, which is a contact management system. Some places refer to these platforms as a CRM, Contact Relationship Manager. They're basically one and the same. What their capabilities are is it gives you a place to house your leads and your contacts to enable you to have a consistent way of communicating with them on a regular basis. Top Producer, as Gary said, is something that he's had for a long time. It is actually pretty easy to learn. When I first became introduced to Top Producer, I had no formal training, so everything that I learned pretty much on my own. So this will really give you an edge up having someone walk you through and showing you the basics. Some of you may already be using Top Producer or, as Gary mentioned, e-edge. And if that's the case, I'm going over basics tonight. I probably will not be teaching you anything new. There may be a few things in there. But I know that there's a lot of people out there who are not currently using any type of contact management system. And so this will help enable you to see how easy it is to use and how profitable it can really be for your business and how it can really streamline your time management. As Gary mentioned, Top Producer he's been using for a long time whenever he had his own real estate brokerage. And when we first signed on and he merged with Keller Williams, we were going to go over to the e-edge platform, which is another contact management system, and then found out that Top Producer has a version that is specifically designed for Keller Williams with all of the email and drip campaigns that many of you may have read about in Gary Keller's book, Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So it was very easy for us to convert with the system that we were already using, not having to transfer our contacts anywhere else, and have the same availability of the email campaigns that the e-edge program would offer. So this is the login screen for Top Producer. And I'm going to take this at a novice level. So again, if some of you are familiar, please bear with me. This is the sign-in screen. What you're going to see here is they do offer some training. Off to the side here, you can see my mouse is highlighting some different things that you can go through. This is on your login screen through webinars, Top Producer Mobile, etc. And once you're logged in, there are other areas that you can go to for training as well. Here you would type in your username. Now, whenever I go to type mine in, you're going to see that there are 6 usernames that pop up. You can get Top Producer and have only one login, and obviously it's cheaper that way. The more logins, the more expensive it's going to be. And if you only have one person who's going to be using it, that can be feasible for you. However, Top Producer does have the capability, should you be a team and you had 5 or 6 people on the team and you wanted them each to have access to your Top Producer platform and the capabilities of logging in, you can do that. There is an additional charge for each account that you have under yours, but you can do that. That's one reason why you may want to have more than one account. Another reason why you may want to have more than one account is because per Top Producer's rules, and every platform seems to have their own rules, you can only send out 1,000 emails per day. So if you've got a database where you're getting up to a huge amount of clients, and you have the need to send out more than 1,000 emails per day, you would definitely need more accounts because they will slap your hands for that. So to log in, you simply put in your login and your password, just like you would with any other platform, and voila, it comes alive. And if you see over here, KW, this shows you that we're actually using the KW platform version of Top Producer. And this is what your login screen looks like once you're in. We're going to go through all of this up here, or at least most of it. The first thing that you need to do in order to use the system is have the knowledge of how to put a contact or a lead in. So if you hover over any of these up here, you see they basically open up a drop-down menu to the different categories that you can click on. And I want to just explain this one here a little bit because you'll see add a contact and you're going to see add a lead. And what is the difference? A lead is someone that you're definitely going to want to try to have a transaction with, someone that you're going to list as a buyer, a seller, an investor, something like that. A contact may be someone who you want to keep their information at hand so that you have it, but they're not necessarily someone that you're going to sell to. Maybe Gary or me. You can put our information in there as well and just categorize us as a contact. A lot of the people that Gary has met throughout the years, he does keep track of in his database, and that way then he has their contact information. We're going to add a lead. So I'm going to click on add a lead. And then the screen comes up. And this is where you're going to add all of the information for your contact. The very first section you're going to see here is contact status, new. Let's say you ran an ad on Craigslist for a house that you're marketing, and a lead came in. Someone emailed you back or left you a voicemail when you weren't in the office, perhaps after hours, and you've got their information, and you did reach back out to them. However, you never made contact with them yet. So you have their information, you're entering them into the database, but you have not spent live yet. They're open new leads. They would be categorized as new. The actual default, as soon as you open this screen, is to new. Engage. So let's say you've reached out to that contact, you have spoke with them, however, they're not pre-approved yet. You still need to get some additional information. You need to meet with them, maybe get a buyer's presentation, buyer's agency agreement signed, whatever. You've engaged with them, but there's not a formal commitment yet. Future, you spoke with someone, they said, yeah, I'm looking around right now, and I am going to look at buying a property, but I'm locked into a lease, and I'm not going to be able to make that purchase for probably 10 months or so. So we would categorize them as a future client. Active, that would be someone that you spoke to. They're pre-qualified. You've set them up on a search. They've signed an agency agreement with you. You're actively looking. So that's someone that you're working with right now. Closed, transactions already taken place. So you've either sold a property for them, or you're listing one for them, or they purchased one. We're going to, for the sake of going through all of the steps, we're going to click on new. So this is going to be a new contact. Next, we've got contact type, and there's a list. And we go down through here, and we have a lot. Because as Gary said, this database has been used for a long time. And as you can see, we have buyers in Florida, Georgia. We have them all over. So they're categorized and broken down so that we can find them a lot easier. So let's say we're going to categorize this person as a buyer. So I would click that, and you'll see buyer comes up over here. Now let's say, oh, click the wrong thing, don't want to make them a buyer, we're going to get rid of that, you just hit the garbage can and it's gone. So let's say that maybe we need to add a new category. So see all of these listed here? We're going to add a new one. So what we would do here is I'm going to put something just so it comes up the top of the list. A buyer, active buyer, and then we can hit save. And there, look, active buyer came up. It's now listed as their contact type. And you can see it. It's the top of the list. That's why I did active, so when you hear the top of the list, you won't have to scroll down through. You can add more than one contact type. So let's say we add him as active buyer, maybe buyer from California. and we decide we have one buyer from California unchecked. So see how they're appearing and unappearing over here. Now we're going to enter his name. So we've got John Doe, his spouse, his Jane. We haven't spoke to him yet. He's that new lead that came in from that Craigslist posting that you have. So we don't have a lot of information on him. He sent you an email, said him and his wife Jane were looking, left his name and number. We have his phone number. And we'll do an email. Scroll down. So we've got his basic contact information, and this is where we would put notes. If you're working with more than one person who has access to the database, you may want to list who the person was that spoke with them. I always put the date, so 11/5, Beverly, he came in. So what I'll do is I'll put basically where it came in from, what they were interested in, the price of the property, and what I did. So that gives a summary. Called, left voicemail, email sent. Now we're going to page up. And we're going to look over here. Who was the lead assigned to? Remember when we first logged in, we had where I told you you could have several different agents on your platform. If this was being assigned to another agent other than you, you could change that here. That's what that's for. The source, this is where it came in from. And we're going to click on Craigslist because that's where it came. If you had another source to add something that was not in the list, and obviously our list is pretty big because we've been using this for a long time, you could click here and you could add. Once you do add that to the list, it can't be deleted. So just so you know, it will be in there. Everything else, when you're working with someone that you haven't spoke with yet at this point, someone who's relatively new, and I'm using this as an example at this point, just that I can take you through all of the steps. Everything else we're going to pretty much leave blank because I want to show you from another perspective with the next stage of the customer how that would happen. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to page down. We're going to click on Add Contact, and that's going to save the contact to your database. Okay, now if we look here, we're going to see that this is John Doe right here. We just added him, so we're going to click on him, and we're going to open his record. Once we get him open, there's various things that we can do. So now we have him open because maybe we need to update this record. So we're going to look in his name. If we look back at our record, maybe see we made a mistake. His name should be Jonathan. And I know some of this stuff might seem very minute here, but I just wanted to show you some things that might make life a little easier for you in how to get to. Okay, so we look at edit for the email. The email needed change. So over here, it was maybe John at gmail.com. And then that record's been updated, so you always need to click Save to save those details. Now, if we go back over here to Summary, this is where once you do speak with him, you can add some additional notes. So let's say he called back, you spoke with him, you were able to find out a little bit more about what he was looking for. So now we're not only going to update the notes, but remember where we had the very first box when we added him, new, engaged, future, active, closed. we're going to be able to change that as well. So let's say we haven't spoke to him yet, but we put him into the system. And right now what we'd like to do is add him to a drip campaign, because a lot of these clients that you speak with, you may contact them through email, through phone. You may not hear back from them right away. You're going to get some tire kickers out there, as I'm sure you were all aware. The tire kickers we don't want to ignore, so we do want to put them on an email campaign. So I always set everyone up on a drip right out of the gate, and that way then they're not forgotten, they're in the system, something's happening with them. So we've already left them a voicemail. We've sent him an email. We would go to Perform Action, down to Apply Action Plan. Click on that. This opens up all of the drip campaigns that you would set for your client. Drip campaign is going to do a couple things. It's going to automatically tell you when you need to send an email to a client, but it also has other follow-ups. It will tell you when it's time to make a phone call to them, just to touch base, or send them some type of a little note, or when one specific email drip campaign may be expiring and it's time to set them up on another. And I mentioned earlier, Gary Keller wrote the book Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and if any of you had the opportunity to listen to this month's interview Gary had that I sent out earlier today with Howard, he talks about the book as well and the email drips and how important it is to work with your clients, or I should say your database, on a daily basis in terms of generating leads. And you should spend about 3 or 4 hours a day doing that. This right here with the drip campaigns is one of those things that would be categorized into lead generation, because you're sending out the drips, you're doing follow-up calls. So this kind of really helps to set you up for your lead generation. At any rate, with this opened up, one thing that Gary does mention in his book that he wrote, and I'm speaking Gary Keller, is when you have, say, a buyer come in, they should be set up on an 8x8 buyer prospect drip campaign first, and then we move them down to a 33 touch. When the buyer prospect drip campaign expires, you will be notified, and I'll show you later how you find that. And whenever that does expire, then you will take them off of that drip and add them to 33 touch. Anyone new coming in, I'm going to put him on the buyer prospect drip. If he were someone coming in looking to sell his home, we would put him on the seller prospect drip. So for now, it's going to be buyer prospect. And we will select the date that we're going to want to send it. I'll put tomorrow, and then we save. So now that person's been set up on the drip. So initial contact, that's basically what you would do with the record. So now we've made contact with him, you spoke with him, you found out that he's pre-approved for $170,000 with Bank of America. So, and he's looking for a single family home. So 11/5, again, I'm going to put the date, spoke to lead, pre-approved with Bank of America for $175,000. We found out that he's a first-time home buyer. I type any of the information here that's going to help me later. And the reason for this is whenever you're communicating with your clients, it's going to help you a whole lot to connect with them much better if you can recollect things that you talked about and you know what you're doing with them. So even if it's something simple, they have children and what their names are that you kind of pick up on, I put those in notes too, just because it's kind of nice to drop those things when you're speaking to them. So first-time buyer looking for single-family home in 15229, that's just a zip code here in our area. And I'm going to put 165 price range. Most people will be approved for more than one fraction of the spend. So that would be the updated note that I have on him. And I would save the note, excuse my typing. I'm trying to talk and type at the same time, it doesn't always work. So at any rate, that would be the updated note. Now, the next thing that we're going to have to do is you've spoke with the customer. So not only have you engaged and had a conversation, but through that conversation, let's say you made an appointment, you're going to go meet with him, you're showing him 123 Main Street, the one that he was interested in. He's going to sign buyer's agreement with you, so we can say he's active. And again, those are more things that you may want to have typed into the notes that I put right over here. Again, I'm trying to streamline a little bit. Talking quickly doesn't always work well. But at any rate, that's what you would do with the client record. That's how he would be set up on the trip. That's how you would initialize a record for the contact in Infusionsoft. And I guess at this point, is there any questions, Gary, that you can see in the box over there that anybody has so far?
Yep, let me check and see here. I just answered one. Elizabeth had one, but it was she just started today, and she has a question on the material. So I gave her your email address, Beverly@winrealtyadvisors.com. But so far, no new questions that I can see.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And, you know, guys, a lot of this may be, again, elementary, but I want to take it step by step and go over basics. You know, everybody has a different learning curve, so I'm trying to help everybody in regards to understanding this. But that would be the basic client record, and that's what we do with getting a client in the system and the follow-up. Again, the emails that I showed you here, inside the action plan, and there's several. The ones that I'm showing you now, the buyer, the seller, and the 33 touch are the main ones that you're going to be using. But I mean, the long-term client that you may have in there that we spoke of earlier, who may not be ready to buy a home for, 9 or 10 months, there is drip campaigns in there for them. There's drip campaigns in there for, a multitude of reasons. And I'll show you where you can find information on this.
Now, Bev, you can actually customize those too, right? Because if you think back, we were always focusing on. We had two things going on at once. We were catering to the traditional owner-occupant crowd, but also we really focused in on the investors. Two different messages, but we were able to use the same system and the same campaigns. Is there anything? Do you remember doing anything special or specific just for investors? Over and above, in other words, you can talk about this relative to, the 33 touch, the 12/8, or 12x12, 8-step, all that. But also, if there's anything that we added that was customized, So think about some of that type of stuff. If you could show them, and even I wonder if we have an email. Like sometimes we'll get emails from people who receive our marketing. They email us back and say, "Well, I want to find a home here, or I want to sell a home there." We could show these guys on the webinar night what those emails look like when they come back to us, because it'll include what goes out to the client. Excuse me, the prospect. It'll show what the prospect receives.
I'm going to show examples of some of those emails. I just wanted to stop at this point to see if they had any questions on anything else at this point.
All right,
There's a lot of stuff that I can go over with here.
All right, let me check here real quick and see. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, this is from Peter. Peter wants to know, Peter Lamb, how you doing, Peter? Peter wants to know, what are the main differences between E-Edge and Top Producer, and what is Top Producer better at than E-Edge? E-Edge is something that is part of our dues, and Top Producer seems to be a bit expensive per month. I could probably answer that a little bit, and Beverly, I'll talk about that for a moment, and you chime in when I'm done. So the obvious big difference, Peter, is that E-Edge I call it free. It comes to you free as part of your membership and your license with Keller Williams. All right, Top Producer over the years has gotten more expensive, but it's still a pretty darn good deal. And the good thing about Top Producer is whenever you sign up with them, whatever you sign up with, whatever your rate is at that time, it never changes. We have students who have Top Producer as long as I have, and they're paying like $10, $12 a month. We're paying up to, I think, Bev, we're paying $50 or $60 now, but we really go gangbusters with it. But as far as the functionality, Peter, eEdge will work just fine for you as a new agent, and it probably has everything you need because it's improved over the years too. Top Producer is just more customizable. Also, with Top Producer, you can buy additional accounts, so you can market to more and more people. With eEdge, you're limited to just whatever eEdge has the capacity for. And I forget the capacity. I think it's like 999. So Beverly, if you could elaborate on that a little bit. When we looked at eEdge a few years ago, do you remember what some of the differences might have been other than what I've just described there?
Well, actually, when we started to look at eEdge, to be honest with you, I don't remember all of the differences, but once we found out that Top Producer had the Keller Williams platform, it was just so much easier for us because of the fact that we didn't have to export our contacts. We have a ton of contacts. We didn't have to take the time to learn a new system. So it was just easier. And yeah, as far as the differences between eEdge and Top Producer, Gary, you would definitely know more about that than me because we had never actually even gotten into the eEdge. So I wouldn't even be able to speak on that.
Yeah, and they're very similar, Peter. They're very similar, and really the big difference is what I just described there. Now, Russell has a question, Bev. Russell Smith, hi, Russell. Is there a way to see what is being sent out before it is sent?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll share.
Whenever we get over to, every week there's a series of events that takes place within your contact management system in terms of, they call it to-dos, then they call it calls, and then they call it emails. And when the emails populate, and I did not do all of ours this week, I saved some so that I could show you guys this evening on the call. Whenever they populate, there is a way that you can read what the email says prior to it going out. And
Okay.
Demonstrate that as well.
Okay, good. And Bev, it looks like Bassam is saying that the sound quality is kind of poor, and I think I know why. It's because I'm on I have a headset that has a boom, and it's made for stuff like this. So Bev, you're probably speaking. You're just using your computer's microphone and speaker system, right?
Correct.
Okay. What I would do, Bev, is if you could stay close to your computer, like stay in the same spot, because I think what's happening is if you're moving around, like I don't hear so much because I'm dialed in and I've got a headset, but I think the other listeners here, sometimes your voice kind of fades. You know,
Okay.
you might move around, and I know because it's very strong. I can tell when you're close to your computer. So, and
I turned up the volume a little bit, and I'll stay much closer to it.
So Bassam, that's why it's just Beverly's normally not doing these. Normally I'm doing these myself, and it's a lot better. So, but that's so. And Bassam has another question, Bev. I'm sorry, Russell does. I'm sorry. We have Top Producer, and it is more user-friendly than eEdge, and everyone on the team can see the contacts. And Russell, that's a good point. When Beverly and I were operating together, I only allowed Beverly to have access to it. She was like the kind of the quarterback of the team, so to speak. And so we didn't have to have, when we have multiple accounts, we kept them all under Bev's control. But you're exactly right. With a team, all the other people on a team can see what's going on, and you can share and support each other. And it is, obviously it's a vendor system, so they're going to customize it to the nth degree. Where eEdge with Keller Williams is, they just provide what is necessary, basic functionality. So good point there. So Bev, let's turn it back over to you, and maybe we could show some examples of what it looks like before it goes out, what it looks like after it goes out, and some other stuff.
Demonstrate one more thing on this page before we move off. And this is the client record again. We've spoke to this lead, we got him on the drip, etc. But what if this client was not a client that ever got back to you? We have him on the drip, and that's one good thing to have him on, but it helps if we can do a little bit more with him, and that's create a market snapshot. And we create that based on what we knew about him. He had been looking at a home that was $165,000, and it was in postal zip 15229. So what we can do is set him up on a market snapshot, and what this is going to do is send homes, information of homes out to him on a basis that you determine. We have it set for every 2 weeks. We can set it to every 2 weeks. Let's say the home he was looking at had 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It was a residential. So once you set this up and generate, and we can leave it at just sold, price changed, or just listed. Once we generate this, he is going to be receiving information on this as well. So it's another good way to stay in touch, with your client if you don't hear back from them. But at any rate, let's go back to the home page then, and I will go over what takes place on a weekly basis. And what we're going to look at is this middle section right here. And like I said, we have a whole lot more than this, trust me. But on a weekly basis, this is where you will see how many calls you need to make, how many to-dos have to be done, and how many emails need to go out. And it's going to depend on the size of your database. Whenever you see calls, which is what we're on right now, this is what the screen will default to, you'll see that this is a 33-touch quarterly call. So this person is on the 33-touch drip campaign. And remember I said that when we set them on a campaign, not only are they going to be scheduled for emails, but there's going to be various calls that we will make to them along the way as well. So what you would do is you would click on their name, you would go into their record, you would pull up their phone number, you would make the call. Once you're done, over here it says call and garbage or check mark. I do the check mark once I've made the call. If I make the call and the phone's disconnected or something like that, I will delete the activity and note over here what happened. So that's the calls. And again, it's going to, however many you have is going to be determined by the size of your database. You'll see over here that it says that the date the call was supposed to be made was 11/2. For whatever reason, the way our calls were scheduled this week, every single call that was scheduled to be done on 11/2. Usually they're spread out during the week. That's just how they happen to fall this week. Now, if we go into to-dos, this shows things that need done with various leads, and it tells you what it is. 33 touch ended, apply new 33 touch. And I know I'm trying to watch our time because I want to get through as much as possible with you, so I'm going to go relatively quick. We're going to click on the client's name. We're going to pull up their record. We're going to go to perform action because that's where the drip campaigns are. Her campaign is expiring. Now, this is one that was set for Hampton Roads. We have clients everywhere, so this was one for Hampton Roads. In order to set her on a new one, we need to delete this one. The series of events that takes place with buyers/sellers is they go on the buyer prospect trip first, and then 33 touch. If we're still working with them, nothing's transpired, the 33 touch expires, we put them back on the 33 touch again. Unless they were a transaction, then we move them over to close and they go on a long term. But we need to take them off of it first, so we take them off by unclicking, saving, and then we're going to put this person back on the 33 touch again for Hampton Roads and the date. Now, if this were a client that was on the buyer's drip, we would be taking them off buyer's prospect drip and then moving them down to the 33 touch. And then we just save that record. There are various things that could come up in the to-dos. This week, basically everything that came up was that we had to take them off of various campaigns. So there's nothing else to really show you there. This next box right there is for the emails. And this was what I believe Russell was talking about. And it shows the different emails that we have them scheduled on. There is Jonathan and Jane Doe, who we just added. And look, they're on Buyer's Prospect 101. So just for the sake of showing you what one looks like, I'm going to show you that one. If you scroll over here, you'll see where you can view and then send the email. Here you just basically send the email. And here you can throw it away. You can delete it. We're going to click on View and Send the Email so that you can view it. And this is what it looks like. And any of the emails that you're going to be sending out, you can view them before they're sent. close that. We can take a look at another one. This is one that's on the 33 touch. So we'll view that one as well. And that's what that looks like. In the back end of your system, you can pull up any of them and you can view what they look like. Now, to basically send the emails without viewing them first, because after you view them so many times, you kind of know what they say. You just go to the little email here and you click send. That email was sent. Next one, sent. You can't select the whole list and send them all at one time. They have to be sent individually, but that's how it's done. So again, this right here will populate every week with new things that need to be done, phone calls that need to be made, to-dos, and emails. And does anybody have any questions on that?
Okay, let's see here. Let's go back to the question box. Okay, what is ZBuyer? This is Cliff. Hi, Cliff. Lead source. Yeah, ZBuyer is a, you've probably heard of like Zillow and Trulia because they're big, massive global online systems that basically grab data from the MLS systems and attack records. What ZBuyer is, it's another lead source like Zillow and Trulia. However, ZBuyer is different. ZBuyer doesn't scrape the internet and basically, pirate data from other systems. And those are secondary systems. ZBuyer is a primary system where sellers who have an interest in selling, can put properties out there, but more importantly, it helps you find buyers too. So you get these leads. We use ZBuyer. As a matter of fact, that's a system I still use myself because I believe. In fact, I'll let the cat out of the bag here. One of the things we're working on, you guys, just keep it to yourself for now, but don't make it public yet. We're looking to arrange a business relationship with ZBuyer to allow you guys to have possibly 1 month free of leads coming from ZBuyer. These are not warmed up prospects. These are essentially cold leads, but they're complete leads. You get name, number, email, all that kind of stuff, and they're pretty good. We've found them to be pretty good leads over the years. So I'm trying to arrange that for you guys to get access to that, at least get a free sampling of what it's like, and you can decide if you want to continue with it or not. So hold on to your that was Cliff hang. Hold on to your hats on that one. We're working through it now. We're trying to negotiate with them and to see if we can work that deal out for you guys. Okay. Any case, Tammy asked, can you have a reminder sent to your email or phone with calls or emails that need to be made? So Bev, did you catch that last one from Tammy?
So in other words, she's asking if we can set it up through Top Producer to have a reminder sent to her phone about the various tasks that need to take place. Is that correct?
Email or phone, correct. Yeah.
If it can be, I'm sure that maybe, I don't know. I really don't know that can be done. I mean, I'm at my desk all day, so I never had the need to even research if that could possibly be done or not. So I honestly can't answer that. With technology the way it is today, there probably is something on the back end that you could set.
Yeah, Top Producer is a pretty good system. Now, also, I think there is a mobile version of it, Tammy. So the reality is, even if they don't have a system set up that notifies you automatically that there's a call you need to make, you can probably access this from your mobile. Have a mobile app now on this mobile version of this as a software on your phone, and then you just bring it up that way. But the good news is, Tammy, I'm glad you paid attention, because one of the most beautiful things about this system is it helps you systematize and automate everything you want to do with clients based on the type of client that they are, i.e. investor versus owner-occupant. And within the investor group, you can set up different campaigns for different people. Like people who buy rentals will get one campaign. People who buy flips get another campaign. People who may be interested in selling rentals could be a third campaign. All these things you can do, customize, automate, systematize, to make all these actions, these client relationship actions, more automated and more systematized. That's for everybody on the webinar here tonight. I really want you to take that to heart. Because I mean, Beverly will tell you. Beverly, how many people do we have on our top producer database now? Would you say?
67,726.
67,000 people, guys. There is no way any human being is going to be able to keep track of all that marketing and communicating unless it's systematized and automated. And so, Beverly, would you say on a scale of 1 to 10, where were we several years ago, and where were you after? Let's just say maybe 2 years ago, when we were going phasing out of production into teaching and training. On a scale of 1 to 10, would you say this is a 1 that hey, it helps you a little bit, or a 10, it allows you to do the work of 1,000 people?
This is a 10, and you know, Gary, you and I both have worked with a lot of different contact management systems over the years, and some of them are good, some of them are not very user-friendly, some of them are okay. Top Producer is specifically designed for real estate, and it is awesome. I mean, I don't think we could have done what we did, Gary, without it. I really don't.
Yep. Well, another good point, too, is this. I know people are probably sitting there with their jaws dropped open when they heard 67,000 contacts. But everybody here, I want you to know, just like me starting off investing with one single individual property, a 4-bedroom home, when I first started in real estate with my license, I think I was lucky to have like 20 people, 20 contacts. And I kept going through the process of every day, guys, and here's what I would do. And I'd write this down. At the end of the day, I would go through my notes. Who did I meet? What did I know? Find out about them, and I would enter it into the contact management system. And of course, now Beverly's been doing that for years for me. That's one thing I did. Another thing I did is, if you're brand new, or let's say whether you're brand new or not doesn't matter. Let's say you've never really had a contact management system. I'm going to give you guys a real big tip on how to actually build a good contact management system. What I would do is this: even if it's e-edge, even if it's an Excel spreadsheet, what you want to do is every day, okay, for the next 26 days, for the next month that is, every day go to your phone book and go through the A's on day 1. And the A's, look for architects, accountants, what have you, and ask yourself, who do you know who's an architect? Who do you know is an accountant? And enter them into your database. Okay, the next day go to your B's. Who do you know who's a butcher, a baker, whatever it is, the letter B? Because the phone book's alphabetical by vocation. And right in there, here's the bakers I know, here's the beekeepers I know, here's the butchers I know. Then go to C, chiropractors, what have you. You get the idea. Do that every day for 26 days or a full month if you want. And document everybody you know, all the accountants, all the doctors, all the dentists. It goes on and on and on. And when I did that, thankfully I had a veteran agent teach me. This guy was retiring. He said, Gary, I want to show you something that's so simple and so easy. Here's how you can go and build your database initially on the initial build. That's exactly what I did. I ended up with over 300 people. I thought when I first started I was lucky to know a few dozen people. Turns out I knew over 300 people based on vocation. Car mechanic. Everybody knows a mechanic. Everybody knows a grocer. So do that to build your initial database. If you don't want to spend the money on Top Producer, use your e-edge. Put them in there. You can get their. In fact, if they're professional service providers, they're going to actually be in the phone book, and you can just grab their phone number right there and their address and put it in your contact management system. Now you've got a database that you can use. Okay, all right. That's big tip number 1. Here's big tip number 2. When you're working with investors, what we discovered is about 10% of your database is either going to be somebody who's already invested, is thinking about investing, is going to invest, or is currently investing, who's reading books about investing. And so what you want to do is this. On another wave of activity, okay, go through your database. Again, go through your A's. Take a whole month to do this if you want. Ask yourself, for each contact, how do you know them? What do you know about them? And rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being least likely to invest, 10 being most likely to invest. There's a reason why I have you do that. That's a fundamental activity everybody here should engage in over the next 30 days. Because when you do, say, a workshop, a free workshop, you're going to, very first one, you're going to start off doing that with the people you know. So what you do is you email and phone call the people who you ranked, say 6 through 10, or 7 through 10, or 8 through 10, who it is. Those are your first invitees to your very first workshop. You don't even go spend money on marketing. You don't set up meetup.com. You don't do any of that stuff. You focus on the people you know, and lo and behold, about 10% of them are going to be interested and will be actively engaged in investing. So those are two huge, big hints on how to build your database initially and how to use it profitably when it comes to working with investors. So let me do a quick search on questions here, Bev. Hang on one second, because we just did a good bit of talking there. Okay, this is
that's the beauty too, Gary, don't you think, of a contact management system? Once, and Gary basically just summed it up, once you start putting these people that you know into the system, you will be surprised at how many contacts that you actually have that you can begin working with.
Yep. I mean, what's amazing is we went from a few dozen to, now granted, it's been several years, but we've got over 67,000 people in there. Believe me, it didn't start out that way. A lot of that's from referrals. It's from doing all the different marketing campaigns and people responding to it. All those things we did over the years, that's what it resulted in. And it just literally occurred one day at a time. Okay, so here's Pat Callahan. Hi, Pat. Pat is asking me, I assume that you set up a template for letters and that names are merged from the database in the salutation. So, Bev,
let me show you something that I think will answer Pat's question.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay, so let's say that you want to send out a mass email. Okay, so you're going to do some marketing. You're going to go to the email tab, click on mass email, and you're going to pull it up. Okay, so now we go over to this too to select a list. My contact type, remember we had all of those. I'm just going to select the first one so that I can get through this and show you as much as possible. And this selects the list. You have to put a check mark in front of this to check all of the names that you're going to email. Okay, so now you've got a list that you can email. And subject line, you can type in whatever you want. Now what Pat, I think, is talking about is how do you get a letter salutation inside of the email that you're going to send so it definitely looks like it's more personalized. And it does look more personalized. Go down here to Insert Merge Code. Open that box. We're doing a text merge code. The category is to the contact. And what we're looking for here is a letter salutation. And then we insert the merge code. That's what it looks like to us right now. When it goes out to the client, what we can do is anything that we've put in here, we can view it, and I'll show you that in 1 minute. So let's just say you're sending out, and we do that a lot, that's why that populated, investor special, contact salutation, whatever the body is. I'm just typing some things in because I want you to see how it will look whenever I show it to you. That would be the body. You can go here to choose files to upload photos. If you want to show a picture of a house or documents, whatever. But at any rate, if we go to, we want to see what the email is going to look like before we send it out, we can click on View Email. And there's your letter salutation. So you've got your Dear Paul. Paul was the first person on the list. Every person that the email is going out to will have that salutation. And I think that's what Pat was looking for. Am I correct, Pat?
Yeah, Pat, go ahead and chime in. I think that's what you're asking. Can you do basically a sort merge and send out a mass email, but have it be personalized? And that's exactly what you're exactly right. This system will do that. A wonderful, wonderful thing. Pat says yes. Hallelujah. Okay, good.
Yay!
All right. So Bev, let's show them what the receiver actually gets. Can you do that once something goes out? You can split your screen on your computer, by the way. You can go to any browser you want and come back to this too.
this is what I just showed. If I go here, this is what the email would look like. We're getting a sample of what the email.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it would actually be.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. That's a lot of information that we just provided. I don't want to blow anybody's head up here. Now, for everybody on the call here, we've got people who are seasoned veterans all the way to beginning people. I hope tonight gave you enough information and showed you why we're so serious about creating, maintaining, and using our contact management system, because it is a tremendous source of profit. And there's a famous book out there called 3 Feet from Gold. Greg Reed is the author. Actually, I know Greg Reed. I went to the unveiling when they unveiled the book. It's part of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. We get it out in Anaheim. And the whole premise is much of what you want is actually right around you. If you just look and who you know, and you document your database based on who you know and how you know them. In fact, Cliff and Sheila are on the call tonight for the first time. We spoke about that a little bit the other day when I was in Hendersonville, and it's so true, and yet it's so often overlooked because we're always trying to go get new people. I understand that the desire for us to always get new people. Believe me, I'm just like everybody else. Look, we got 67,000 new people, but the reality is, if you just serve the people you know already, serve them well, you'll get plenty of business just from that. I mean, that's why we talk about these vocations that we like to approach, because we're more inclined to invest in real estate. The professional service providers, they're very tribal. They all belong to the same trade groups. They belong to the same clubs. And once you're in, you're in. You know, it's a lot easier to do it with investors than it ever will be with owner occupants. That's for sure. Okay, let's see. We got Elizit has another question. Can I have access to this webinar later on? Yeah. So Elizit, these actually get recorded, and tomorrow Beverly will send out the recording, the audio-visual recording of this webinar, and you can watch it on your phone. You can strip off the audio and just listen to it in your car on a CD or MP3. So excellent question, and welcome aboard, by the way, Elizabeth. Glad you're in the program. Okay, guys, we're getting pretty close here to the end. Any final questions here? Because Beverly is, unlike all of us, Beverly's actually a salaried employee, so she's doing this of her own goodwill, and I always get comments from her about the students and how nice you guys are to her, and I really appreciate that. I know she does too. So this is her time, so we want to honor her and let her get back to whatever she's doing at home with her son, and allow us to move on with our day. So Beverly, thank you so much for doing this.
It was a pleasure to be here. I'm just going to put up on the screen here. I don't know if, and we're not trying to sell Top Producer, but just one more little helpful hint for you. If anybody was interested in the Top Producer, learning more, purchasing it, this is, and I'll leave this up on the screen so that whenever you do get the recording, this will be there. This is the contact information. Yeah. It was a pleasure to be here with all of you tonight. If anybody has any questions about anything that we went over, don't hesitate to give me a call or shoot me an email. I'm here for you.
Okay. And Bev, a lot of people are typing in now. Thank you for being here. And by the way, guys, Beverly's, yeah, we don't get anything out of this. I mean, if you decide you want to use EAs or Top Producer, whatever works for you, if you call Top Producer, they might know who we are, but they probably got millions of clients. I just want you to know we don't get anything out of that. And we're not. This isn't what Beverly is trying to do here. She just wants to give you the contact information. So. Okay, I think that's it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording so we can get that download started. And by the way, guys, big news for next week. On the 11th, we've got Seth Green, who is the #1 Facebook guru in North America right now for focusing on real estate. I met him several years ago, and he agreed to get on next week for an hour to talk about how you use Facebook in your business working with investors. So definitely register early for that one, because we may exceed our capacity on that one. That guy is very good, very smart, and he's very hard to get a hold of. He's doing this as a huge favor to me because I helped him. So look out for that announcement and log in for next week. Okay, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful night and a wonderful week and weekend, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Good night, everyone, and God bless you.